is. Not that I'm doing anything, but there'll probably be plenty of fireworks and stuff tonight. So,
Are you off work in general for this Friday? Is it holiday
well, normally I
break?
would be, but since I took all last week off, I'll I'll be around my computer. I'm probably not going to like sit here all day, but if people need stuff,
Yeah.
then I'll do stuff kind of
It's your
thing.
rest day, right? Fridays typically, or does it depend? Because I know you're on a
Well,
rotation.
they always rotate, but today does happen to be a rest day, so that's why it's like I'll end up getting bored anyway, so might as well do something. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Where's my friend at?
She'll be here.
No, okay. It's good because I was waiting on this coffee to get made and I felt bad because I was like, "Ooh, we're a little late."
Oh, 3 minutes. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. I'm waiting for my coffee to kick in. I'm a little tired this morning too, though.
I know. It's been a week.
Yeah. Do you have
But it just flew by though.
It did though.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but
Well, I had to share this because I just got an update that I get a burger this weekend.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Refeed.
I mean, I asked him, and I actually texted him. I was like, "Are you giving it to me because it's my birthday weekend, or do you think because I actually need it?" Like,
It's your birthday weekend too.
When is your birthday?
Well, I'm on the 5th. Sarah is 2 days later. She's on the 7th.
Oh yeah, you told me.
It's literally tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's literally tomorrow. My like best friend that's my roommate that I lived with back home, today's her birthday on the 4th of July.
And yours is,
I'll never forget your birthday, Tanya.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
and yours is coming up too, right, Haley?
Sorry, one more time.
Yours is later in the summer too, right?
Oh yeah, it's this month too.
It's this month.
It's the very last day.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So easy to remember, but also maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed there's a lot of July people. When's yours, Jess? Sorry, I didn't catch that one.
March. And March.
Okay.
A lot of March babies too.
Okay, March.
Little Pisces.
Pisces? Is it Pisces? Are you
Little
Pisces?
Pisces, yeah.
I don't know anything about mine.
Good morning.
Hello,
Good
Sarah.
morning. I made it.
Is it early where you are?
It's 9 a.m., but it feels early to me. I'm not a morning person, so it takes me a while to get going.
I was just sharing with them that our birthdays are 2 days apart. Like
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You got a birthday.
It's so cute.
And Haley's is at towards the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
But the highlight
31st, like the last day.
The highlight here is I get a burger tomorrow, which I feel
that's really important. That's really important. She gets a free meal.
Now Sarah's gonna be like, oh, maybe my coach will give me a burger for my birthday.
Right.
I'm pretty chill with it, and technically, like, I mean, we prepared for this. I thought, like, just go for it.
Yeah.
I'm not really craving anything. Like a few months ago after my show, I was craving everything, but now I'm just like, I'm content. Maybe a piece of cake.
Yeah. That's how I get to be too, especially like once you're deep in the off season. It's like it just feels like a lot of work to do something different.
Yeah. Or mine's like, I just don't want to feel any slower than I already am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eating like any sugar, you're just like, ugh, this really hits you like a brick. But it tastes really good though.
So Sarah, would you like to do like a brief introduction of yourself? Maybe like when you turned pro, your pro debut earlier in the year? Who your coach is?
I love that.
I started competing back in 2019. I did a few more amateur shows over the years, and then I went for my pro card at Junior Nationals in 2023. So I won my class there. I still knew I needed to put on a good bit of size and dial in conditioning. Conditioning has always been a weakness for me. So then I started building, planning to do a pro debut like in early 25. And Tanya reached out to me, I'd say late 24, maybe like August, September-ish. And she was just like, hey, from Singapore. And I'm like, who is this? Like, she looks cool. So we got to talking and became like really close friends. And I just told her, hey, I'm in the process of prepping for my pro debut. Like, could you be my second eye? Like, would you help me, like, kind of guide me into the show? So she started out as just like a second eye, we'll say, but honestly, quickly, she just became like my full-on coach, just giving me the protocol, like, especially towards the end of prep, like, you don't want to have to think about what to do. So I just trusted her to take the reins, and she's just easy to trust, and she proved to me at the beginning that she wants me to succeed. So just really easy to let go and let Tanya do her thing.
Yeah, she was just, I think the communication was just very easy between Sarah and I in general. I think it just started out like, we're just talking about training stuff. And then like, we would throw out like suggestions, bounce off ideas for each other. Yeah. But I always tell her, I straight up said, I think you're crazy. I told her you're crazy. Like, you want me to be your second eye? I've not done this like prep coach thing. So I said, like, are you sure? Are you sure?
And I think it's so impressive too. So you coached yourself through like a bunch of off seasons, right? And
yeah, which I'll say, like, my reverse / off season has never, like, when I coached myself, I really just kind of like let go after the show, like I never had, like, I could never make it through a reverse properly without like screwing up. And this season was the first time that I can truthfully say, like, I hit my reverse like I was supposed to. And it was just the extra accountability from Tanya,
I think Haley and I talked about this briefly the other day, and I think sometimes like the off seasons are a mind fuck, especially for females, because it's like we know what we're supposed to do, and we know we're supposed to like eat all the food and stuff, but I don't know that I would hold myself accountable to keep like eating as much food as I needed to grow if I was like the only one that I was reporting myself to. So in some ways, I almost think like an off season would be even harder to like coach myself through than a prep. So I have so much admiration for people that are able to like get to the level you're at by yourself, without that second eye.
That is literally what I said to her. Like, how many people can, turn pro by just coaching themselves? It's hard. I know I can't do it on my own.
Yeah, I guess for like a small question for me, I always think the girls who do this stuff is fascinating. That can coach themselves for at least a good chunk of their career. How did you begin to like kind of dabble? Like, did you follow a bunch of bodybuilding things and kind of just play around with ideas, or like how did you kind of come around?
Yeah, I actually met my husband in the gym. He was a personal trainer, and I just started working out just to lose weight. Like, I was one of those. I didn't want to gain muscle or anything. But he had a lot of friends who did bodybuilding. So like on one of our dates, he took me to a bodybuilding show, and I saw the figure girls, and I was like, holy crap, like these girls, like I want to look like that. Like I knew I wanted to do figure from the beginning. So I continued to work out for a few more years. And then finally in 2019, I was like, I think I'm going to go for a show, like I'm just going to try it and see what happens. Like I said, I was never like conditioned enough coaching myself. But I mean, I am proud that I was able to turn pro on my own. But you do get to a point when you're like either in prep or off season where it's really hard to stay objective with yourself. Like in off season, I'm super tempted to like cut every few weeks because I'm uncomfortable. And in prep, I'm like 4 weeks out and I think like, oh, dang, I look good. Like I can probably pull back a little bit when I need to like push way harder. Like I'm not there.
Yeah, that's what me and Jess were talking about. Well, and Tanya, we have a group chat where you just talked about the whole, because I know a couple girls that do it too, and I think it's still a huge accomplishment to do it up till a pro card, but then I think it gets super, super hard once you are trying to do it in the pro leagues and just decide what kind of calls to make, like how long to grow. I think you really need a second set of eyes, at least at that point. Given there's like freaks in nature, like Michaela Aycock, I think always coached herself for the most part.
I didn't know that.
I think for the most part, don't quote me. But I think she did most of her stuff by herself. It takes a very select people, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah. I just want to like turn it over and not even like worry about anything, and just like
Me too.
So
I want someone else to drive the bus.
Yeah. Was it kind of like unnerving to let someone else drive the bus? Like did it take a little while to just totally be able to like release control and just like execute the plan as opposed to like thinking about every change and what you're going to do, or did you kind of like ease into it since she started out as just like a second set of eyes?
Yeah, maybe Sarah, maybe you can share with them why you just never hired somebody.
Yeah, like
It's a good
I
topic.
I don't know if I just didn't want to like relinquish control or, I'm kind of stubborn too. Like I don't like being told what to do. And I think I just felt like if I hired a coach, like it would kind of feel like a dictatorship. When I know it's not really, but like I just wanted to make sure I had a say in the process. Like since I had coached myself for a long time, I just like the idea of like a partnership and that I can contribute to the plan. So with Tanya, it was exactly that. Like it was just kind of like easing in over time. And instead of her saying like, here's your plan for the week, XYZ, it was like, how about we do this? What do you think about this? And then I could throw back like, well, I would rather do this instead, or like make this my high carb day, or, whatever it is. Like it just felt like a partnership and just really easy, not like I'm being told what to do and I have no say and I'm stuck.
Now, do you coach people as well?
No, I don't.
Okay. Tanya, maybe like you can expand on this a little bit too, because I know you're kind of the only. Haley, are you coaching anybody?
Like super loose, like
I'm just curious,
lifestyle,
like,
playing around, like kind of doing that, like a partnership type of thing. Bouncing ideas off of people who have like competed in the past and kind of get them back into it. So nothing like where I'm charging people money or doing anything like that. More just kind of learning from people.
So I'm curious, like, I feel like coaching is kind of balancing like a bunch of different personalities because like you mentioned, Sarah, we all kind of operate in different ways. Like some of us are like, you can tell me what to do, but you kind of have to like pitch it as if it's my idea. Or some people, like, maybe guys are like easier to just like tell what to do. So when you're like getting to know someone, do you kind of try to figure out their personality and figure out how to work with them, or are you kind of more this is what you're going to do it my way or the highway type?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah, well, because we're kind of like segueing right into this whole. We were going to talk about like coaching and client like communication and expectation and stuff, and we kind of like launched right into that already. So we might as well keep it rolling.
Yeah. Okay. So I usually sieve out their personality. Not really sieve out because I guess especially if you are working with complete strangers, you don't truly know what they are like. But this is why, like, if I have a new client that comes on board with me, the first thing I do is I will automatically schedule a video consultation call. Because right off the bat, with the exception of a few, I decided to,
Sarah.
and then I would get them like to do the video call, and then just to see if we're a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't want to waste their time. And then, I'll just list out, what I would usually do with them, what the structure is like with the communication, the check-ins and everything. And then judging from their personality, then I would try to create like a diet plan, for example, like a meal plan that would help them build it towards being more as sustainable as possible. So let's take like Sarah, for example, because I know she was, okay, maybe I'll give you a bit of a context. So when she started her prep, she wasn't eating very little, but she wasn't eating a lot for 20 weeks out. And I knew if I started her at like that point, it's going to be really hard to dig this person down after a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then mentally it would be quite a struggle. So with her plan, I had a couple of highs and lows. Also with her, it was deliberate carb cycling from the start, from the get-go, just to make sure that there are days that she can look forward to, but I did not create it deliberately just so that it would be easier, because obviously to get into that level of conditioning, at some point it's just not going to be easier.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for some people, maybe if they're more food focused towards certain things, like certain items of food, as long as it's not unrealistic, just like good sources of food that they take towards a little bit more, and then I try to incorporate it as much as possible. So I have like clients who do like fancy dark chocolate, and I know there's a time and place for dark chocolate, but I try to include that in when I can every now and then.
Yeah, I think especially as you're getting started, some people will like macro match meals or something like that. And I think there always comes a time and a place where, all of us are probably where we stick to a meal plan and there's really not many deviations. But getting started, I don't think like it has to kind of strike a balance between like enjoying it, not that it's supposed to be fun all the time, but like enjoying it and just kind of getting accustomed to a routine and making it something that like the client can stick to and not necessarily feel like they're in jail with it.
Yeah. But I think sometimes it's also just their personality, because there will always be people, whatever plan you just put out, they will ask like, can we change this? Can we change that? And then I will be open to the suggestions as long as it comes from a place of with the right intentions. Because if there's always like so many changes, then I wouldn't be able to do my job, at least from my standpoint, starting out as a coach. And then I don't want to come to a point where they're not getting the results, and then it's always easy for those bunch to end up like blaming the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are the types where sometimes you just want to be like, you might think you love bodybuilding, but I don't think you want to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I had this talk yesterday. Oh, just like with like little boys that kind of get started in the gym, and it's so flattering too because they come to girls more
Yeah.
often than not because I think we're just more friendly than some of the guys at the gym, where they just want to talk to you about bodybuilding, like how you got into it, and they just have this whole different picture of what it really takes to kind of get there. And I always push the whole like you do need to get a coach. Like I know it's expensive, but instead of spending money on the supplements, and sure you need some, but you don't need all the fancy pre-workouts and the newest this and that on the market. Like put some money aside. Coaching isn't that expensive when you think about how much you're spending on the things you really don't need off the jump, if that's what you
It's
want to
true though,
do.
because if you take like all that time and spending on this and that, and then you're just figuring a lot of stuff out on your own over time, even though it does not look like a huge sum of money, it actually adds up. And having someone that you can trust just to start you out in the right direction would save you so much time and money. But at the same time, I know there's always like a second opinion to this, like a playing devil's advocate, that sometimes people starting out also do not know exactly the best way to find a good coach for themselves. And that's where a lot of people also run into problems. Because I know there are people like, they find a coach and then that's when they stop learning, or they find the wrong coach. Because having a coach is, yes, it's paying for guidance, but you still got to do that responsibility to pick up as much knowledge as you can on your own. And I have clients who, they do a lot of reading, and it actually makes it very fun for me to coach them because they challenge me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get to learn from them, and then we get to explore more ideas together. And usually that way, as a client, you will also know how to ask the right questions as well, getting into it.
Yeah, I kind of piggybacks off like what Sarah was talking about, where it's like a collab effort, especially if you want to. You should be learning something out of your coach experience. So you shouldn't just be like blindlessly following everything. But
Yeah.
you do follow what your coach says. But there's kind of it's more of a collaborative thing.
Yeah, I
You
always
know,
kind of wondered how, like, if you were to go, I feel like I don't go to Justin with many ideas, but I am like, we chat, I watch all the YouTubes and stuff. So I do feel like if I had something I wanted to like try or run by him, he would be open to it. And I feel like that's how the best relationships are. I don't necessarily think someone just getting started should expect quite a collaborative effort. I mean, Sarah, you're an exception because like you already, coached yourself to your pro card. I mean, someone like just getting started in the sport, I think they're going to have to like listen a little bit more. And I think that collaboration is more of something you earn once you gain
Yeah.
like your coach's trust, as opposed to like, hey, I want to hire you, but I want it to be 50-50. I want you to listen to me too, you know?
Yeah. I guess you do see that a lot with the newbies too. Like they're very quick to, what if we sub this out for this? Like I saw this online and this on YouTube and Chris Bumstead does this and I think I should do that.
And I think it's a hard, you got to find that happy medium because nowadays, like, there's so much noise on Instagram. So, Tanya, do you see any clients coming to you like, hey, I saw so and so doing this. Can I try that? And
Oh,
you
yeah,
just,
I get that quite often.
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deal with something like that?
I mean, at the end of the day, I need to be able to give a very logical and reasonable answer. So as long as for most of the part, as long most of my clients are okay with it, because my answers typically always make sense at the end of the day. I usually tell them it's not that let's say they want to use certain things, be it, making amendments to their plans, be it for training, cardio, nutrition, or even the drugs. But I will always say, I'm open to it, just not right now, given this list of reasons, and they're okay with it usually, because as long as the answer is logical and it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think as a client as well, it's also it's dependent on the way that they pose the question to you. So I think that's one thing that people can learn. If you are looking to have build that collaborative effort with your coach, you got to think about the way that you put the question out to them, because there's always more than one way of saying the same thing, and I think that helps to just avoid misunderstanding.
Yeah, especially because like, we kind of expect our coaches to kind of learn how to communicate with us. Like we also need to learn how to communicate with them. And I think some of that is like when I first started, it was almost like pulling teeth to get information out of me. And it's not that I was trying to be difficult. I was like trying to be easy, like, oh, here's my pictures, here's what I weigh, everything's great. Whereas now when I check in, Justin has like a whole form and it's good for me because like, it asks, what's your appetite like? And if I was hungry in a prep, I would never say, hey, I'm hungry, but
Yeah.
in an off season, it's kind of valid. Like, oh, she's a little hungry, so maybe we'll give her a little more food. I think it's like important stuff to know. So what are some things that you guys have found is like important to communicate with your coach that maybe when you were starting, you were like, oh, that's not important. They don't need to know that.
Who wants to go first?
I know. I'm like, what's my answer?
I would say mine is always it's kind of similar to your, Jess. Like I never wanted to talk about being hungry. I didn't, because to me that was more of like oh, you're being a baby, you can push through that. It's not a big deal. Like he knows how that works. Like I don't need to talk about how hungry I am because it feels like I'm just crying about
Exactly.
that, or even just like recovery stuff. At first I was kind of hesitant to be, I usually kind of word my recovery where I'll be like, oh, lower half takes, X amount of hours. It takes, 24, 48 hours to recover, upper this. And at first I was kind of like, well, like I kind of go back and think about it and almost double check myself a little too hard. To where I was like, well, it really wasn't that bad. Like, maybe it really only was about 24. Like I could have hit that again. When in reality, like those are all very important markers that I think once you just build a relationship and you get more comfortable with your coach, to me, it always just felt embarrassing to admit that maybe like my plan was a little hard. So once you get a better relationship, you don't have as much of an issue, I think, as a client, just being like, hey, this week was kind of a hard, like I didn't recover as well. Like I am hungry, but that they know you're not complaining. You're just kind of giving feedback. So finding that sweet spot between like complaining and just giving good feedback was kind of hard for me. It took me a bit. It was like pulling teeth.
You know what else? Sometimes I'll find, since we check in every other week or every 2 weeks in the off season, it's sometimes I'll like think of things like, oh, I should make a note of that in the next check-in. And then it's like the next check-in rolls around and you're like, it's fine. It's fine. Forgot all about it. Just like I think the human brain kind of like, especially like with pain things, it's like, we don't really remember pain. So it's kind of like, you don't really remember, oh yeah, I was hurting for like 3 days after that leg day.
Yeah, I think for that kind of thing, it usually happens with training related stuff because usually if I were to tell Justin, like, I'm not really recovering, or, the pumps and the activations are non existent, but sometimes I would think that maybe it's just a bad week kind of
Hmm.
thing. And I would try to hold it out. But in terms of like, not giving enough feedback, I think for me, I've always been giving him like quite a lot of feedback because I'm on the other side of the world. I don't see him. But, we don't do the phone calls and stuff often. So he needs to know like everything that goes on my end of the world, like things that just run differently over here. So at best, I just tell him like, bro, we got no turkey here. Yeah.
Is that a legitimate thing that happens sometimes?
Yeah, because sometimes he has added like turkey into my plan, and I have tried to find it here and include it, but it's like a pound for $20.
Oh
I still
yeah.
have turkey.
Yeah, Sarah's
That's
eyes
just
just
something I
opened
didn't
up.
think
I saw
about.
that.
I just wouldn't have thought about that. And I'm sure that's how he is too, where he just doesn't think about different food sources that might not be available to you. So I get it. That's very important too.
I mean, it's different everywhere. I wouldn't expect him to know anyway.
True. True,
Yeah.
true. But like it would be very easy for you to almost just sub it out for chicken and never say anything, versus just speaking
Yeah.
up and being like, oh, well, like I just don't have turkey. Like, is it okay if I do this? Or some
Yeah.
clients might just go ahead and
See,
sub it out for another lean meat of some
that's what,
sort.
yeah. So that's what I've noticed. Like some people do. I just tell all my clients. I say, if you want to make a swap, that's fine. Just make sure you run it by me, so at least I'm aware.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sarah, did you have anything that you didn't think that you needed to give info to your coach?
Yeah,
No
I was
pressure,
trying to
Sarah.
think like, Tanya and I like talk every day. So we're in constant communication. I mean, most of the time it's not even about like bodybuilding things. But I really didn't feel like there was anything I couldn't share with her. I think like one thing people should take away is like just being honest with your coach when you do fall off or like mess up on your diet or overeat one day. Like even if the scale still goes down for the week, like still speak up and say like, yeah, like I messed up on Tuesday this week. Just to hold yourself accountable and to like create that relationship with your coach to, because nobody's going to be perfect. So there were definitely a couple times in prep that I overate or just messed up and was honest with Tanya about it. Like I just think that's important, especially as you're just getting started. Like I think a lot of people struggle with the food. So they just need to be able to have that relationship with their coach.
Yeah, and that's important too because like your coach is analyzing the pictures you send and looking at the plan they sent you. So it's like they are, if you haven't said otherwise, they're thinking, okay, we achieved this look by doing X, Y, and Z. So it's like if you're constantly swapping foods out, if you're doing 5 minutes more cardio, if you're doing 5 minutes less cardio, even all of these things that may seem like so minor to you, it might be like super minor on one day of that week. But if you think, oh, well, it worked out for me yesterday, I'll do it again today. And then over the course of the week, you've ended up doing all that extra cardio or all those changes, like that can definitely change the look. And if your coach then makes additional changes, like what are you going to do about it? So
It's a bad habit to start, really.
yeah, it's a very slippery slope. And you may think, oh, I'm doing this myself, everything's going great, but just you wait until you get,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's, if you truly have problems with what that coach is having you do, then it's probably time to have a conversation with them because, it works both ways. I think the narrative a lot is like the coach always ends up being the bad guy. But I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's plenty of
Yeah.
times where it's like, okay, but what is the client not doing as well, or is the client not necessarily putting their all into cardio and that's why they're not in shape? So it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies when like coaches are always getting like the shit end of the stick and it's never like the client's fault.
Hmm. I think there's definitely a track record you got to look at when it comes to clients,
Mhm.
especially once it gets to the pro league and it's more noticeable about people bouncing from coach to coach.
Mhm.
I know sometimes it just happens, things happen, but if you see a trend and they're seemingly maybe always out of shape, like I think there's a line where you kind of have to start looking at the athlete involved in these situations and kind of look at they're probably not doing the plans these coaches are setting forth. We've talked about this all the time. There's just coaches that are notorious for getting women in shape, since we always talk about
Yeah.
women specifically. And if they bounce from coach to coach and that's just a track record, it's usually something on the client end. It could be health issues too, but most of the time there's an effort issue.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's very seldom a time where I mean, I do know of cases that people have bounced off like from coach to coach because they just really have very bad luck. But for
Mhm.
the most
Yeah,
part,
it happens.
yeah, but when I speak to a couple of other athletes, sometimes I mean other coaches, they will share with me that most of the time when something doesn't turn out the way it turns out, it's like 99% the client something it's something that they're not doing or saying. Maybe at 0.5% is the protocol, and then the other 0.5% is health issues.
Yeah,
But
like
yeah,
it happens. I've seen many girls that they just pick like 3 bad coaches in a year. And I think you just really got to interview these people. Like I interviewed, I think 3 or 4 different guys before I settled on using Justin for, oh, that sounds so icky, settled on Justin.
We settled.
Decided to,
that
I want to
sounded
work with
different.
Justin.
That
But
sounded very different. I was like, so
yeah,
you had like 3 men, and then you decided which men.
I sure did. I sure did. In a week's time period, I set up consult calls because most coaches will offer a consult call. And I automatically, I'm not going to lie to you, if they wouldn't offer me a consult call, I went and I took them off of the sheet of like possibilities, because to me, I wanted to not just be a cookie cutter plan. And if
Mhm.
they're not willing to even sit and have like 15, 30 minutes with like a video chat or a phone call, I took that as kind of like a red flag that maybe they have too much on their plate.
Mhm.
And that could be maybe not the most accurate thing, but that's what my brain works.
Well, you want to think like, okay, so maybe some of these coaches like have such a great roster that they don't care if they get a new athlete. And that's fine. That's their prerogative. But you want someone that, as an athlete, like if you actually needed to hop on the phone with them because you had an issue, you want to know that they'll set aside 10, 15, 20 minutes for you. So if they're saying like, no, I won't even talk to you right out the gate, it's like, okay, well, how much time are you going to give me as a client?
Or like, how much do you actually really care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get it. That's not feasible for everybody, but I can name like 2 big names that I went to at the beginning of like my journey of finding a new coach that wouldn't even have like a 10-minute phone call with me to consult. And I was like, okay, like I'm just not interested.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a few out there that are kind of like, I've got plenty like, this is who I am, take me or leave me.
Yeah.
But then it's like, all right, well, if you've got such a great roster, then here I am, way below all of them. What makes me think that you're going to give me the same amount of attention you're giving your Olympians?
Given I know
And I
there's also
also,
a threshold.
huh?
Sorry, go ahead and finish your thought.
No, no,
I
go
should have
ahead.
waited. I was gonna say there's kind of a threshold too with that too. Like I know when you're an amateur and you haven't really proven that you're like pro status yet, and like you can always get there and it takes effort and work, but I also understand there's a certain level maybe that a coach will put into you kind of off the bat when you are a newbie, and they'll give you a certain level of that effort and they expect you to match it or exceed it to then kind of
Mhm.
move up those ranks. So I'm also aware of that. Like I don't expect to get treated like I'm some, world world record, like can win all these shows. Like I know you kind of have to work up to that if you even
So,
can get there. But
so touching on
it's
touching on your point, I was going to ask, like, bouncing the question back to Sarah. Um, do you think like that's probably the reason why, like obviously before me as your best friend, you didn't really think of settling on, like any coach because I mean, I know that Sarah is very in tune with herself and her body. So it's also like, when you're working with someone very established, like even if it wasn't me, like somebody else, no matter how the client tries to tell you, like, oh, I know that this works for me, and especially if you're coming in as an amateur, most of the time the coach or the coaches, I don't speak for all, but would usually assume that the person probably doesn't actually know as much as she thinks she does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it was more of a me thing, like why I didn't want to hire a coach before you. There really wasn't anyone that I like seriously like interviewed and chatted with. I mean, there were people that reached out to me, especially after I turned pro, like, hey, I'd like to coach you, which I was just not like, no thanks. But I don't really know. I mean, I think it was more of a me thing. I was just scared to let go of control, and I do think like I knew like if I were to get a high level coach, I really wouldn't have any input because they're coaching Olympians. They obviously know what they're doing. I'm just most likely going to be another number on the roster, and I just really wanted, to find someone like that was knowledgeable and that could get me to the Olympia, but also cared about me as a person and like was like willing to listen and wanted to know more about me than just the bodybuilding side of me. Like, I mean, your coach shouldn't be your best friend, but they should know, like, are you married? Like, what are your hobbies besides bodybuilding? Like, I think you should invest in your client in that way too.
Yeah, so I think with Sarah was the coaching with her was, I mean, it was really like a collaboration because I could tell that she was looking for someone who she could like learn more of these coaching skills from. Even though I obviously like before her I didn't have like a record of any other athletes or I mean I had lifestyle clients. I don't post them, but she was looking for someone that she could learn like different ideas from to help her, like be a lot more objective with herself. And, if she ever had to take the reins, I mean, when she takes the reins for herself, okay, she's looking at this situation, looking at her body, and then with this and that context, she had like more factors and more knowledge to play with to help her be a better coach for herself and potentially for others in the future. So I think she was looking for that kind of mentorship at the same time. And then, that prep was kind of like what just drove it all together.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I think too, and this is kind of unrelated, but
Which obviously is a very rare situation with most coach athlete kind of like relationship because Sarah and I were friends to begin with. So obviously this does not always apply for the majority.
yeah, I definitely think a relationship like that is something that you earn over time. Like once you show that you can put in the effort and stick to a routine and actually like, be a bodybuilder. I think sometimes, especially with like social media and stuff, there's always like hot trending coaches. And I think athletes are quick to want to like hop on the bandwagon and stuff like that. And one thing that I think is important for people to realize is all of these coaches are great coaches, but that doesn't necessarily mean that because they're taking like Martin to the Olympia or all these open men to the Olympia, like that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a great coach for you. Or even if they've got like girls in the division that you're in that are going to the Olympia, again, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a coach for you. So definitely like do your research and kind of follow some of like the lower, not necessarily the top athletes on every coach's roster, and pay attention to them and see how their interactions with those clients are, as opposed to like, oh, Stefan is having so much success this year, I'm going to hire him. He's definitely going to be the perfect coach for me. Because earlier we were talking about whether it's the coach's fault or the client's fault, and sometimes it's simply like the two of you don't mesh.
Yeah.
It's nobody's fault,
It's what I had this conversation I shared this with Sarah and other friends before. Sometimes you get someone who's really reputable and then like it doesn't work out because sometimes it's not that the coach is poor and it's not that he did anything wrong and it's not that the client didn't do anything or didn't do anything wrong as well. It's just some people just gel with others better.
Hmm.
If not, we would be friends with the whole world. Let's be
Hmm.
real. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is why I think these video calls are important. I think
Yeah,
you can tell pretty
this is why I
quickly,
do
like
them.
within a short time period, if you guys at least kind of can
Get along.
communicate with each other, because you got to be able to communicate as client and coach. So if you guys don't do that very efficiently, it's probably not going to end up being a very good fit.
Hmm.
And I have
And
recommended.
honestly, go
Sorry,
ahead.
Jess, you go ahead. No, I've recommended people before, like when they share with me what they are looking for, and then I will I will always be honest and say like, okay, I think you would work better with this individual. Then I would provide them that options, like like different people that I think would fit them a lot better.
That's a great
Yeah.
thing to do, though.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think it's important to remember like it's literally just like any other relationship. Like if you're having issues, like you also need to go down the mental checklist and ask yourself, like, am I putting in all of the effort I can to do everything that I am saying that they're asking me to do, So it's like, if you're gonna go to your coach with like issues or anything like that, or when you're picking people, like also know how you function so that you're not just like once again attacking your coach and throwing them under the bus, like, oh, this is what you did wrong. Like, also, what are you doing wrong? Works both ways.
Yeah. I hate that we crucify some of these coaches
I know.
online,
It's hard
because these are
sometimes.
still real people,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
even some of
Yeah.
the
Well, I
client
think
stuff that gets blown up on social media. It's sad.
And everyone
Yeah.
just wants to point fingers, and it's like sometimes there's no one to point the finger at. Like sometimes it's just how the cookie
just happens.
crumbles. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
like
was
to think
really what I
even.
was. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Well, it's okay. You go.
I'm sorry.
You go.
No, I was saying I think it's just sad sometimes because when I see, sometimes things happen between athletes, and then when like say drama happens, somehow the coach automatically gets dragged into it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I think as a coach too, like you just be a little picky on your clients. If you know maybe that there's a lot of that follows them, maybe a little hesitant, because it's no fun. Like in what we do, it's a lot. Reputation is huge.
Mhm.
I'm not one of those people that thinks any drama is good drama and any publicity is good publicity. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
I
Not
don't
in
want to
this.
be talked about for almost killing somebody or having bad protocols. And without a doubt, if someone always has something bad to say about everybody's protocols, for sure. But
Yeah.
you kind of have to look at the character behind the people saying it. You got to do some more research sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes, honestly, you wouldn't actually know the protocol. I mean, you would never know 100% what the protocol was. Only the athlete and the coach will truly know sometimes. Because sometimes, when people hear, oh, like this person did that, but you got to look at the context sometimes. Like, was it throughout the whole 20 weeks or was it just for a couple of days? Because sometimes, because that changes the whole story altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. There's different levels. There's still different levels. Different bodies, different experiences, how long they've been doing this.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, none of it's healthy after a certain time point, anyways. And you just don't know someone's blood work. You don't know.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of times where I think athletes have gone behind their coach's back and done different protocols too, on top of what's been prescribed.
Mhm.
So really, at the end of the day, it's really only that person who's taking XYZ or, following whatever plan. Like they're the only ones who know.
Mhm.
And whether
Yeah,
they're going to
just-
be honest is kind of up to them.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, just to bounce off more, like how people can find the right coach for themselves. At least, what I did was, I mean, I always tell people try to talk to some of their athletes, not just the coach, what it's like.
Hmm.
But I also recommend people going to talk to others who have left.
Mhm.
Yeah, just to hear like, was it what their experience was like and why they left. Of course, maybe sometimes it's personal, but you would roughly have an idea based on the way that people part ways.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a really good one, especially since everyone is so transparent on social media. Like, don't. This is not a decision to rush into. Like, follow a couple coaches on Instagram, then follow their athletes over the course of like a couple weeks. I think I kind of like creeped on Justin for like both Justins actually for like a month.
Yeah.
You know,
I was like 6 months.
Yeah, talk to some other athletes because you can kind of like. One big thing for me was I love the progressive overload style of training that I do. So that's one thing that I wanted to like stick with. So I knew like that's how Justin trained. And then you watch their athletes, you watch the stories to see the kind of like community they build. Um, there's and then ask them questions too, you know, if it's important that you have a free meal or a macro plan instead of like a meal plan, like ask if there's any sort of flexibility with that sort of stuff, because you're going to find right there that it probably cuts like the amount of coaches you can choose from in half, because there's a lot of coaches out there that it's like, no, this is the way. And I do think, you know, that's how most pro bodybuilders are functioning these days. But if you're not going to necessarily seek out a pro card, then you probably want a little more flexibility, and maybe you don't need to be looking at those top level coaches. So
Yeah, it's and I seldom hear people, you know, like doing full macro approach to go up, but I do have athletes, and Sarah is one of them that I gave macros because I knew she wouldn't like put an ice cream in there.
exactly. And that's another thing, because it's like macros aren't necessarily evil, and I know a lot of people that do treat it just like a meal plan, you know, but it comes down to that like building that trust and that relationship that you're not going to go fill it with ice cream and cookies all day.
I'm just too
And I
lazy.
think the more you mature too, like Tanya gives me macros, but I just make it into a meal plan. You know, like you get so like it's just easy to make the same thing every day for the week, like, and you just, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I'm in my off season, I should probably mix it up. Like I'm gonna get burned out, and I'm like, nah, it's just easy. Like
Exactly.
I'm not making my own meal plan. I'm way too lazy for that. Like I just want to follow it.
Yeah,
That's what I pay you for. I want you to make this meal plan. But like, sure, I understand too if you have certain foods and you like to portion it all out. But I literally like to take all my guesswork out.
Yeah, like Sarah was, you know, she's honest, and she told me she had like pancakes every high day throughout, and I was like, oh, pancakes, because I've never worked with pancakes, but at least she started the pancakes right off the bat, so at least I could see like what the pancakes would do. Like either she's gonna turn out on stage like a pancake, or she's gonna turn out on stage like a waffle.
yeah.
But when you say pancakes, though, because that's a real loose term here in this, when you say pancake, is it like literally protein powder and egg whites, or is it like actual?
I never asked her how she made a pancake, but it worked.
It's important in what we do.
Yeah, it was actual pancake mix.
God bless you. That's how it should.
I mean, we did have to pull them like the last few weeks. I only got them for like maybe 6 or so weeks during prep.
Yeah,
that's great. I just get really upset when I hear these girls talk about pancakes and it's egg whites and protein powder.
Yeah, same with like the
what do you mean
and stuff like that. It's like if I'm gonna have a cookie, like I'm just gonna eat a real cookie. I don't care about the fucking protein.
Yeah, can we please abolish the whole protein everything?
Yeah.
For what? I'm constipated now.
For what? Sometimes it's like I'm already having the protein. I don't want more protein in the cookie.
And it doesn't even taste as good anyways. So what's the point?
I don't know about you girls, but you know, I see like, you know, protein based, and I know some can actually be good, but I'm the kind of person that's like, I see some pastries and I'm like, I'm sorry, but certain foods just should not be healthified.
Just like be a muffin.
Yeah. You know, I think if I was just like a normal lifestyle person, I would probably appreciate it. But here, whereas like, you know, we're always following our meal plan. Like if I'm going to have like a cheat cookie or whatever, a cheat muffin, a cheat bakery item, like I don't want any of that healthy shit. Like,
and it's expensive. If we're just talking money here, like it's like $5 for a muffin or maybe more. I haven't looked at prices of things, or like a protein cookie. You probably get a little jumbo box for like 20, 30, but I guess Crumble's probably the same price, but still. It's crazy to me. Just get a regular cookie, baby. It's all right.
Do the prices differ? Like, since the three of you are in different states, do the prices differ for like the muffins across like the US, or is it quite standardized?
My fat ass doesn't have muffins in her meal plan.
Yeah, I don't
So
shopping, so
it's probably like $4 to $5 for like if you're talking like a little 4 count bakery-esque muffin at like a grocery store.
yeah, yeah,
Like pretty reasonable. I would say not over $6.
yeah.
I was
But like
just so
that's
amused.
one muffin.
I was just so amused the first time I walked into Walmart and I saw like, and it's so hard to find just one muffin. Like it doesn't come in just one. You just got to come in fours.
Yeah,
It does. Welcome to
Why?
America.
Why? I just want one, but they gotta come in fours.
That's for one person.
yeah.
The 4 count is for one person. Not a family of 4. I'm a family of 4.
But anyway, do we want to look at some universe people? Or do we
Yeah.
Okay,
I do.
I do too.
I have friends.
I'm not overly put together because I don't think pictures are out. So we're just going to go through Gilco and then I'll pull up NBC News. We don't care about you. There we go. Let's look at
Let the
Sid
Gilco work.
first. Oh, I'm not sharing. Hold on, I'm not sharing my screen. I was ready to start all on my own.
Speaking of shows, Justin was actually sharing with me about like the whole Sean T thing because it was kind of controversial with the posing.
Oh, was it controversial? Did he get?
Yeah. No, because the men's physique guys like they were arguing about it, like they were like discussing like whether it should have been allowed. But I know he was doing it for like a posing.
Oh,
the
the little
posing.
bop thing. The little beat.
Yeah, the hip hop thing.
I
He
gotcha.
still hit his. Okay, he still hit his poses, but I know there was a guy. I don't know what show it was, but there was a men's open.
I saw that one.
That one was bad. So I do think a lot of the posts that were like shitting on fancy routines were targeting that guy, not necessarily Sean T. Sean T, I thought was kind of fun. I was like, thank you.
Because
But
it suits Sean T. It's Sean T. So
yeah, so it worked for him. And he still hit his poses.
Precisely. That's the whole point here.
Yeah.
Hit the poses still.
Yeah.
I was wondering like what music was actually playing when he was on stage. Like I saw the video with like the music on the video, of course. But I told Tanya, I was like, would he still have done that if like Taylor Swift was playing? Because like they don't get to choose their songs.
That point just full send. People remember. Yeah, that's something to.
I know.
I don't know.
I wouldn't have been expecting that if I was sitting in front row. And this guy,
You think they took a couple shots before stage? Because like I'd have to if I'm going to do something like that in public.
I think that's just him.
yeah.
Power to him. Power to him. I would do that in my bedroom. At best. No one's filming here.
Now I know what you do.
Yeah. So anyway.
I've built some confidence somehow. We're starting the bedroom. Just me, myself, and I. Party of one. There's just
Anyway,
no way.
I think he's pretty cool, but
it's personality though, and I do like seeing personalities with routines.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's look at Miss Did here. I thought she looked beautiful yesterday.
She looks like a mermaid.
No.
Was
I
Sid
love
a
her
class?
suit.
Sid is class H, right? She's Jess's class.
Yeah, she's tall.
Yes.
I think she's taller than me.
Man, how are you girls so tall?
Americans. GMO foods.
Yeah.
GMO breast milk. I think for being a tall girl too, like I know she's tall, but I really, based on how much density she has, because usually those girls are kind of lanky.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known that she's that tall just based on that.
Especially from the front. Like her quads she's got beautiful sweepy quads that I struggle with. So all the more power to her. Damn.
But now that I'm looking at the video, because I guess we were talking about it earlier this morning, I mean, looking at what they want for figure, I think Cam dialed her in just nice. It's probably what they want so far.
Mm-hmm.
At least as far as this being an amateur show, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how old she is?
I don't.
I feel like she just celebrated her birthday too.
I think
Oh,
she's
that's
like
right. See
maybe
that.
early 20s. I don't know. Maybe I think younger than us, Tanya.
I would say I
Okay.
think under 25.
Yeah.
Oh, that young?
Oh wait, did
Not
she
much
do?
younger, just a little.
I was thinking like 27, 28. I have no idea.
She could be.
I was going to say, she's one, you could tell me she's 23 and I'd believe it. You could also tell me she's
Mhm.
30. I'd be like, okay.
As one of those weirdos too, like people either think I'm 18 or 35. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand. I understand. I feel like she celebrated a birthday not that long ago. Now I feel bad that I can't remember.
That's okay.
But I think she doesn't stand out as being like too tall. Obviously, looking at just individual photos, because it's it's always about the ratios at the end of the day. Like
Mhm.
she's got like long enough of a torso that matches the peripheries pretty nicely over there. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why people think that I'm very tall, because my torso is a little bit shorter, but I'm like super lanky.
She also has a beautiful, just overall presentation. Like her posing, her suit, her hair, like the whole look
Yeah.
is there for her. Beautiful posing. Like she looks so confident. Like she's not even shaky or anything up there.
That's a very good point to bring up. I notice that a
Yeah.
lot kind of for national stuff. It's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And she
And
just
she
looks
does it like a pro. She
she
looks
looks
beautiful.
so calm, cool, and collected. Just like, I mean, I wish I could do a routine like that. Hell.
The little sign off is cute. The little got a little sass in it too. I love that.
So anyway, beautiful look there. I think
Yeah.
for her to be competitive, I think she'll definitely be competitive like as soon as next year if she wanted to be. I think just a little more density in this overall posterior back
Yeah.
shot.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing we can nitpick her on.
No, because her front shots are great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't add like more shoulder to her, like,
No.
and that's usually a big one for amateur
Yeah.
figures is like quad, shoulder, maybe a little bit of back, but hers is really just posterior stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Posterior will just come with time. I think for most people,
Yeah,
what I know,
literally.
like the back is usually like one of the, the areas that even if you look at the Olympians, sometimes it's just the thing that comes in like the last part when they manage to bring it up.
now this girl, you know, you're either going to look like this or you're not.
Mhm.
I like her.
This structure is insane.
Yeah, this structure's more rare, especially at this level too.
Mm-hmm.
Not
And
that she didn't work hard,
Oh yeah,
but genetically she has a perfect structure for figure.
yeah, and
It's
yeah,
basically what they want template. When you look at Sid, when you look at Candice Carter, when you look at the Latoya Farley, Latoya Watts, they all have that thing. Yeah,
Oh,
even
look at that! That's so
Molina.
cute.
and you know what? I swear, like girls like this always just like pop up out of nowhere at a national show and just
Literally.
sweep the whole right. Because that same girl who won, what is her name? The nationals overall. She actually looked very. She reminds me of her a lot.
Which
Anyway,
one? Juniors?
no nationals, our nationals.
Oh, our
These
nationals.
sorts of
Good
structures
point.
I notice are usually always almost with the African American female.
Yep.
I was
And I just-
hesitant to say something, but I'm glad you did, Tanya. Because I do. I think they have the perfect structure more often than not for a figure.
Yeah,
They always just have really bubbly muscles and just very tiny waists.
Mhm.
They just pack on muscle beautifully.
Like it
And I
wouldn't
wish I was
shock me
them.
if you told me like she started working out a year ago, like that wouldn't shock me. Like she could like compete with high level pros in like a year or two. Like she's
Yeah.
Yeah.
insane.
Beautiful. And she doesn't even really have an Instagram or anything. So I'm telling you, they always just like sneak in there, like.
I
line
think
up-
I'll do a show.
Yeah.
And and they knock it out of the park.
Yep. So be excited to watch her.
I know. What was her name? I'm sorry. I missed it.
Shakisha.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did nobody want to say her name and I'm making somebody say it out
I'm
loud?
sorry.
all right, just don't end up clicking follow on the private on live stream.
Yeah.
Don't accidentally.
Well, I do. I get nervous when people are private. It's like, okay, they probably don't necessarily want to build a following, so I will respect that.
No, me and Justin just talked about this too with because the universe was pretty good. And
Yeah.
just kind of talking about the girls that crop up out of figure and women's physique. Usually it's a lot of girls that you've never seen before on social media that end up being the best ones.
Yeah.
And I think it's just there is a certain level of privacy that comes with more muscular women and in those divisions. Because on one hand, you get a lot of people that think it looks really beautiful, but then you have that whole community of people that are just kind of like, ew, gross.
Yeah.
And these girls, genuinely, if you go to this level of muscularity, you don't care what social media thinks. Like, you definitely have to like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's just a different personality that comes with girls in these divisions versus bikini and like wellness per se.
Yeah.
And so you just
Yes,
usually don't see
I
big
think that's what we were
followings.
talking about the other time, right? Like how probably the different divisions attract different kinds of people. I mean, of course, there's going to be all sorts. It's a mix, but I do see a lot more Instagram for bikini athletes.
And I think usually the girls in the bigger muscle divisions too, kind of, we struggle a little bit with confidence because I feel like we're always just looking at these. It just feels kind of more unattainable than like the bikini, I think, and even wellness.
Yeah.
But it all kind of comes hand in hand with, we just don't post as much on social media, so you don't see it. And on top of that, you just kind of lack the confidence of being like, I don't know how big I am compared to these girls. Like, it all kind of weaves into each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you see this
And I
at
think
nationals.
since we're in it, and it's like, it's hard to find people locally that like get bodybuilding, so I think we kind of keep in touch over social media and stuff like that, whereas like social media just kind of started as something to keep in touch with your friends. So it's like when I see that private account, I'm like, oh yeah, you might not necessarily want.
I force all
Yeah.
my bodybuilding girlfriends to make their stuff public.
Yeah.
I think Sarah would have like a lot of input with like where she's at, because I know like based on what she shared, I mean bodybuilding is not built in her town. It's not a big thing.
Yeah, they're only maybe there's me and like one other girl who does wellness, and we're the only bodybuilders in town.
I love
So
that.
I mean, we talk and like we go to the same gym, and like at the gym I go to, everybody's very supportive, but it's just different. You feel like you can't really relate to anybody. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm two different people because, like, on social media, I'm like bodybuilder Sarah, and then like here at home, I'm like accountant / just normal person. But
Where do you lie in terms of like how much you feel like you want to share with like your bodybuilding journey on social media, or like what do you like, where do you feel like social media has a place for you as an athlete?
I'm not like super private. I guess like I've never really cared about like building up my social media to like become an influencer. Like I don't want to feel like I have to be on there is my thing. So like the things that I share, like I share for me. Like yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I know that there's like room in the space to like I could be an influencer and like, live my life on social media and make some extra money that way too. But I think for my mental health, and like I'm kind of an introvert anyway, like I just would rather like only post when I feel like it. And if I want to log out for a few days, like I can do that,
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, I have friends who do that. Like they will reply a DM and then I won't see them until 5 days later.
Yeah. But see what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of different between. I love my girlies and figuring up. Because they're all kind of, not everybody, obviously, but most of them are kind of the same way. Like, you just genuinely love this. And if social media wasn't there, they'd still be doing it.
Yeah. And I think that's why they end up picking like these a little bit more muscular divisions, because just genuinely get into it because they already don't care what people think about the appearance that they want to achieve. So to a certain extent, they're not here to please anyone. They don't actually need to be on social media. So they're more likely to be pretty much invested in the lifestyle
Yeah.
of on social media.
Yeah, it's kind of like nowadays people get into Instagram and are like, I want to be a bodybuilder on Instagram, and then kind of like try to bumble through the lifestyle. Whereas I think it needs to be like fall in love with
Now we gotta
bodybuilding.
reverse that.
Yeah, like bodybuild to bodybuild, and then think about putting yourself out there. Instead, people like tie basically their whole entire life to building this Instagram personality, and then one day they just don't want to be that person anymore because they realize they don't even like it, and it's
And that's when bodybuilding's the bad guy.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
oh, bodybuilding gave me this, and now I have this. It's like, no, like,
you
You
did
are
that,
the problem.
yeah, it's like this wasn't the problem.
yeah. So I thought this girl here had a beautiful structure.
I'm glad you brought her up because I was looking at her the whole time we were talking, and I wanted to make sure we talked about
Oh yeah,
her.
yeah.
Oh, I love her structure.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a shoulders to waist ratio.
No, and I've been watching her for years.
Oh really?
And I was like,
learned
yeah, I was like, so when are we going? And I saw she was going. I literally could have posted like 5 girls yesterday because I follow like 5 girls that was at Universe, and they all got pro cards.
Mhm.
But then I
Really
just feel like one of those
strong upper
weirdos.
What was that, Tanya?
With very strong upper body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's always had crazy shoulders
This
and
was
just
her.
the tiniest little waist.
This was her in 2023, so I'd say she definitely nailed the conditioning this go round.
She would probably be one of those that would need to work a little bit on that quad sweep, but for the most part, she's pretty streamlined. Just takes time.
Yeah, yeah. I think just honestly, like with any of us that first win our pro cards, just overall density. I think sometimes people get so caught up in thinking like specifically what body part do I need to grow, and I think for a lot of us when we first turn pro, it's like
Everything.
just need to grow everything, you know, don't necessarily break down, you know, maybe in Sid's case, she could pull a couple quad movements because her quads look great and move that to her backside. But in general, like I need everything, you know, like.
Me too. I need everything.
Yeah.
Same shape, just more size.
Yeah. Just, or maybe even not necessarily more size, but just like letting that muscle continue to like mature and
That's
get
a good
that little bit of a denser look, which
more muscle maturity, if you will.
yeah, I was going to say, I know that's not even scientifically a thing, but it makes sense in my head.
It is in my head.
I wanted to discuss, like, what's your definition of muscle maturity? Because to a certain extent, if there's no development, what maturity are you looking at? But I also do think to a certain extent, as girls do get older, obviously the skin texture changes. So I think that's why, you know, as your skin starts to thin out, the layers underneath can look a little bit different.
Did we talk about this on a different episode? I can't remember. Or did we just talk about this in a group chat?
No, I think we talked about it now.
Yeah.
I was just trying to save the people from us going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We talked about it before. It's a great topic, though. I love that one.
Yeah. Where is, I guess they didn't do any women's physique reels, which is kind of weird, isn't it?
God, who did Sarah's? I thought it was Gilco. Was there another photographer there? Go on her story. Go on the story. There's gonna be a bazillion ones to click through, but there is a video if you just kind of find it.
I would say women's physique for Universe this year was good. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I love my little Sarah.
I also
What the heck is it? There's a reel with something. I promise. Keep clicking.
It's very interesting to me because just 2 weeks ago at Junior Nationals, right? Junior USA's one of the junior shows. There were so few women's physique competitors, they had to combine them all into.
There's like 7 total.
Yeah.
And there's like just 9 in her class alone.
Yeah. So like not only were the size of the classes like really big, all of those girls like nailed their condition.
No, they looked good. There wasn't a single one that was like scary under conditioned.
Straight up yesterday evening when I saw all the
I swear to God, there better be one
start coming out, I was thinking
Am I
to
crazy?
myself, like at least because Class A was the first one that was released, all the pictures, and I saw like from one
Maybe people just
end
filmed the live
to the
stream.
other, all of them glutes were in.
We'll watch this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Glutes, quads, like everything.
Her legs are crazy.
And speaking of self-coaching, Haley told me that she is entirely self-coached as well.
No, really? I thought she had
She's entirely self-coached.
And she is peeled. Like, she
Yes.
is freaking peeled.
Oh yeah, we were talking about it, gosh, the week before she left, because we go to the same gym and everything as well. And just talking about like what she was going to do. And she's already told me she's gotten leaner before. It was kind of a I won't say last minute, but she'd probably decide to do her regional about 7 weeks out.
Okay.
But she always stays pretty in shape. Like she's never like, I wouldn't even dare call it fluffy. Like she's always pretty good conditioning. But she has
You know what?
crazy
I
glutes.
do notice that I'm noticing more and more girls and guys being self-coached, and I actually do notice this trend. And I was wondering if you thought that was just something to do with the industry, with how like the coaches in general, like with a lot of stories going on. Is that probably why a lot of people start self-coaching? Actually, Sarah, I'm just wondering, like, how did you decide to coach yourself for your first show? Because it's got to be daunting. It's still scary. And I think that's half
I
the
love
reason why, Sarah. And that's half the reason why I work with Sarah.
wow.
Like, the whole time until now, I'm still fascinated. Like, how does she do things on her own?
Yeah, I felt like I could figure it out. Like, so my husband was a personal trainer. Like, I knew he could help me with like the training side of things. And I'm just always like, I love listening to podcasts and like forums and just anything bodybuilding. Like, I love learning about it. So I already knew a lot anyway. So I was like, I think I can prep myself. Like, how hard can it be, right? Just add more cardio and
I
pull
love that.
food. And I mean, that worked for the first couple seasons. Like, but as you get more advanced, I do think you need either more knowledge or like a mentor or somebody to help you. Like, you can't just dig yourself into the ground every prep and expect it to work.
Mm-hmm.
100%. And I hope Sarah will do that here for doing Pro League now. I think is the perfect time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially to kind of push yourself, like I said earlier, outside of that comfort zone in an off season to really pack on that size that she's going to need for the pro leagues now,
Yeah, no, we're so similar when it comes to a lot of this mentality stuff. So I just know she would benefit from it. Given, do I think she needs it? Absolutely not. Clearly. I just would love to see her reach her full potential. And I think just to make her get quite to that point, I think she will need a second set of eyes in some way, at least.
And sometimes it's nice just to turn over the reins and like not even have to think about it, you know?
And I think she would love that. As a control freak, we're all control freaks to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think she would really benefit. Are we talking about my other girly?
Let me bring her up. Who's that?
She was in the blue suit. Did I put her name down?
30 seconds.
Potty break.
Not Victoria, right? Victoria?
I believe her name is Victoria though, because she's like V something bodybuilder. Did I put her name in the document? Maybe not.
I think it was the Victoria Stuker you were.
I believe she would have been able to compete. And do they have masters? Women's physique? Yeah, this girl.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops.
She did. I want to say she did. Maybe, you know what? I feel like I'm going to talk on my butt. I think it was a different girl that did the other national show. For a second, I was going to say that she did it, but I think I'm wrong.
So it's not this girl?
I mean, this is still a
She
girl.
also won her pro card, so.
I was going to say, no, this is the girl. I was contemplating what her history was before this show, and I think I had her and another girl mixed. I was going to say, I think she did women's bodybuilding.
Yeah, she's got a lot of size.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she's masters, somewhere in that ballpark. Super cool chick. Cool girl. I just can't remember prior to this what I had yapped about. Like, she may have been a power lifter, but then again, people think that about me sometimes, and that's absolutely insane to think about.
Do you know why I think we're
Not that
confused?
wrong.
Do you know why I think we're confused? I think her Instagram handle used to be V Power Builder.
Is it? I'm looking at
And
it.
she changed it to V Marie IFBB Pro. Because
She probably did like what we did, though.
yes, because there was definitely, we were thinking the same girl, because I was like, okay, it's Power Builder and the name, and nothing came up. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go with her name. And then I was like,
These ladies need to give us 48 hours before they change their Instagram handles.
see,
Throws me for
Like-
a loop.
Walking off stage, like on social media, like adding it to your bio.
We literally did that, though. Like, well, not right off stage, but we went to dinner. What was it? The next day, maybe, Jess?
we didn't
And at
change our
dinner,
handles. We didn't change our handles. We just
no, we just
added
changed our name.
yes.
It was a hot topic, though, at dinner. We were like, so what do you do? Like, what do the cool kids do?
Oh, yeah, this was the one that I sent to you girls. I was commenting on the hair.
Oh, the hair. That's pretty bright.
I've known some girls to match their suit color, like how they would do their nails. They do it with their hair.
Oh,
Always
yeah.
kind of fun. I just get scared to do stuff because A, I don't think it's quite my personality, but also B, I feel like they do kind of err on the side of more natural aesthetics when it comes to like hair and makeup type of shtick for stage. And at least back in the day, because like my first show was in 2016, it was just like all the forums told you like natural makeup, but like stage makeup. So like the lashes, eyeshadow, but not like blue eyeshadow.
Hmm.
So I always get scared to do too much expressing.
Does
But I think it's fun.
Does anybody know what show Heather's doing?
I was just distracted by the physique.
She what?
I was distracted by the physique. This is
Oh,
incredible.
I
Look at
know.
that.
She's doing 3 shows.
Okay.
I believe she's five. I think is the first one. 5 weeks out, if I have to remember right.
I think that sounds about right. 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She posted her check-ins, but I guess they were just to her story. But she's looking so good.
I say she posts quite a bit of check-ins though,
Yeah, I guess they're all
which
to
I
her
love
story,
seeing.
because there's not much on her
But
feed.
maybe it always is on her story, and maybe I'm borderline crazy.
I do see how
I'm
she
excited
could
for her.
fall. I do see how she could fall, like in both figure and women's physique. She would look
Mhm.
beautiful.
I love it
I
when
wanna
people
say
hit
she-
that pose like that. Like you have to have like the structure to be able to hit that pose.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
Like kind of like the Lola pose, right?
Mhm.
yeah. It's signature
Yes.
Lola.
I know as an amateur, she did women's physique also.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she got her pro card in figure and then settled on figure.
Hmm.
I feel pretty strongly that that's
Yeah.
the timeline there. Because I think I remember seeing her do women's physique, and I think she still plays around with it.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think she's got that figure shape and structure, though. So I think she'll
Yeah.
do well.
She has the sort of physique where I literally cannot see any weak points.
Yeah.
Like if you look at her chest, and it's very rare to see a female like that with that much detail and thickness to the chest. And I think okay, this is just me digressing a little bit, but I think at a certain point, where we all need to fine tune our physiques. I obviously Haley, you're an exception because you're in women's physique, but I do think having some sort of a chest to as a figure girl, it creates a different kind of look from shoulder to shoulder,
Mhm.
just having a little bit of chest, because
Mhm.
we all want that front delt to upper chest kind of separation, and there's not going to be separation if there's no chest. Obviously not saying that we need a really thick chest, but I think with figure, it's less about size, more so about detail.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I agree.
I think it helps with posture too to have some more chest muscle. Like it's kind of like those girls who almost hunch over and round their shoulders. It looks like that when you kind of don't have a decent amount of chest, just a little.
Mm-hmm. Especially because, like, we have muscle everywhere else. So when it's just kind of like flat and not full up here, I think it just enhances the overall look. But
And like I don't know what it's called. Like right here where your shoulder kind of inserts
Yeah.
to your chest. Like I think that looks really pretty and adds a lot of thickness just to that pose if you have a upper chest kind of development, at least a little bit. Obviously
especially
less in figure.
Yeah, for our poses where we don't obviously do any flexing kind of poses, it's always relaxed. It makes it actually a lot harder.
Yeah, I think it almost adds like a width
Yeah, it
aspect
does.
to
It does.
this without figuring out a way to describe that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it completes your side shots, even
Mhm.
in figure.
Mhm.
Yep. I'm obsessed with this girl.
I like her shape.
What's her, how do you say her name? Is it starts with a K?
Camera.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking it was like not Camilla, but like Camry or some kind of.
In my head,
I knew that. Yeah,
she's Wham Cam to me.
that's what it used to. It used to be from. I call everybody by their Instagram handles.
Yeah, so that's why she's Wham Cam to me.
Yeah, which is embarrassing because I don't like mine. So I know people call me by mine, and that's thrilling.
Anyway, anybody else? Anybody else I should bring up?
You know,
love her.
Jess,
Is
just from the
she-
couple of girls that you've put on for today's pod, it just all the more solidifies what I realized. Like, for females, they really want that glute and hamstring density.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, because even the girl before this, sorry, I have goldfish memory. I forgot her name. Heather. Yeah, did you see the hamstrings?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. More and more, I think, like, yeah.
They say you win shows from the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this season, at the first show I did, like I swear everybody in the first call out except me had like giant glutes. And I'm like, I don't love training glutes, you know, like I'm a figure girl. Like I just want to train delts and back, you know? And now I'm like, dang, like I have to double the size of my glutes to compete with these girls.
Yeah. I went so long, just like, I don't necessarily need to do more direct glute work than just like a hip thrust. Like I'll still hit it, like doing my RDLs, doing my hack squats, like blah, blah, blah. And now it's like, we did a whole podcast on them. I've got so many glute moves that I do. And I am finally learning to enjoy them. I think because I know that they're like more and more important, whereas before it was just kind of like boring and nobody cares about glutes. Now it's like
they really do take it seriously. It's like I was saying, you can see people win shows with not the best shoulders, not the best back, but you don't see them having no lower posterior chain.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was just gonna ask, like Sarah, because I watched Sarah's first show like live on the stream, obviously. How did it feel queuing up behind these girls for your pro debut, and then you have the glutes in front of you, like when you see it?
It was wild. Like the girl that won, her glutes were literally striated. Like, which you couldn't really see it as she posed because she posed them softer. But like, I've just never seen glutes. Like her glutes are so impressive. I've never seen glutes like that in person.
Who won that show?
Sophie.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, she's got crazy glutes.
Yeah, because when I saw like Sarah in the first that first call out, and when they all turned behind, and I was like, oh.
Let me take a look.
She's got crazy.
That was hands down a show of an ass.
Yeah.
Sometimes I almost think she's got a little too much glute, but
I mean, I look at it even in the men's divisions. Like,
whoops.
We've said it before. It's not a striated glute contest, but I do appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
You can always pose them softer. I still think,
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that's not what they're looking for really in figure at all. But you can fill out and pose them softer.
You know who else is one figure girl? I mean, two figure girls. I mean, part of Sarah's lineup the other time when I said that they have really strong glutes. The one was Jian and the other one was Danelle.
Mm-hmm.
I think Danelle is in Masters. Like Danelle has really big glutes. I think it's Rose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one.
To know.
Yeah, she was like doing kickbacks backstage, and I'm like, should I be pumping up my glutes? Because I'm not.
I've never pumped up my glutes for God, I've never done that for.
I know, especially in
I think
figure.
I
I
would
just don't think.
I've never seen a figure girl pump up their glutes, I don't think.
Justin had me kind of just do like some like kind of like RDL type with the band, which to me is like mostly glute.
Oh, so I never knew like pumping up glutes was a thing. I've never pumped up my glutes backstage. I probably should. Mine's always flat. So
Yeah.
I probably should because it's flat. Oh, I've never. It's always been just like shoulders and back, I think is all I've really, and like arms, I think I pumped up, but legs was no. Nothing.
Anyway. Well, anything else, ladies?
I know, I was trying to
Happy
think. 'Cause I
4th.
think we
Oh yeah, happy 4th. Are you doing anything later?
We'll probably go see fireworks later, but
Yeah.
yeah. And Tanya's birthday is in a little over 2 hours.
Tomorrow.
Or
Yeah.
no, hour and a half.
next day.
oh pretty much same here. I'm working and then we're gonna go watch fireworks.
Oh, nice.
That's it, little small town thing. I like that though.
Yeah.
Low key.
Cool.
So how do people celebrate it there? Is it kind of like your national day? Sorry, my pardon my ignorance. I don't know, but I know it's a big thing.
We kind of have like 3 holidays for this.
Yeah, I was gonna say
We have
people like
Labor Day, Memorial Day, and 4th of July.
yeah, get drunk, go out on the boat, cook some hot dogs and hamburgers, watch some fireworks.
Those are my kind of holidays though. Like the low key ones where you can do whatever you want. We ain't got to get the whole family together. It's stressful. We ain't got to buy gifts. We just eat
Yeah.
and sit around, like, or watch fireworks or go to the lake. Like it's easy. I like that.
So is it one of those holidays where you see a lot of people outside? Like, does it get crowded, or do people usually just stay at home with family?
I think people go and have a lot of cookouts and stuff with friends.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't drive around once it gets dark because you're probably going to run over some people's fireworks in the streets or nearly get your car blown up.
Yeah, I
There's
do hear
normally,
that car accidents. Sorry to cut you off. You go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. I was just gonna say there's normally like a lot of festivals, like small towns will do little like Main Street festivals on the 4th and like with food and games and then fireworks at night.
hmm
Yeah.
It's typically a small town thing. Usually the smaller towns kind of in the Midwest or like South will do the like morning parade with the kids. I miss that.
Play some cornhole.
God, I love a cornhole. I can do that all day. It's fun. I want to be in one of those leagues.
Yeah, I can picture you playing cornhole all day.
I did back home. I go to my dad's house. I was like, so we going outside and playing cornhole? And they'd be like, it's windy. I was like, just
It's
say
okay.
you suck. Just say you're not very good at it. Just say you're scared to lose.
But all right, well, thank you for joining us, Sarah. That was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. This was my first podcast, so it was
Oh, really?
Oh, it's scary, isn't it?
Happy,
a little bit. Yeah, I was a little nervous at first.
happy early birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And
Yeah,
happy birthday.
It's basically both your birthdays. Happy birthday. It's so cute.
Like Sarah and I will talk about like how after I think when you cross 21, like every single birthday you're just like trying not to count down to it because from 21 to 25 it goes by really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're
I don't want to celebrate mine. Can we skip mine?
You guys are
I'm
making
going to
me
go through a
older
crisis.
than I am, so your opinions are null and void right now.
It's all the same. After you're 25, it's literally the same birthday for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
All
We
right,
can stop celebrating.
all right, ladies. I'll talk to you soon. Have a
Yeah.
fabulous
Sounds
day.
good. Everybody
Enjoy
have
your
a
public
great
holiday.
day.
Huh?
Enjoy your public holiday.
Oh, thank you.
I will. I'll keep all my fingers.
Okay, yes. All right, bye.
Okay.
you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.